would like to welcome everyone to the Smyrna Municipal Planning Commission meeting for February 2nd of 2023. With that, I'll call the meeting to order. Mark will lead us in prayer, and Andrew has our pledge. If everyone will please stand.
Let's pray. Father, we just thank you again, Lord, for the town of Smyrna, Lord, and the place that we get to call home and enjoy the things that it has to offer each and every day to each one of us. Father, we thank you for the many blessings that you give us, and we're so grateful for the things we just don't always pay attention to that are there. Father, we also ask for protection for those that protect our town, our fire department, our police department, all the employees that serve our town, Father, all the ones that salt the streets when it snows, just everybody that's participating to keep our town safer for our citizens. We do pray for our citizens. Father, at this time, we also ask you to continue to watch over our friends to the west in Memphis, Father, with all the things they have happening over there, Lord, and just give discernment and wisdom to the people that are making decisions there, Father, and we pray for those families that have been hurt or harmed. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mark and Andrew. Citizens' comments.
None tonight.
Okay, our next item is approval of the minutes of the January 5th, 2023 meeting. Counselor, are the meeting notes in order?
Approved as to form.
Okay. Commission, I'm assuming everyone has a chance to review the meeting notes. Are there any questions or discussions? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the minutes.
I have a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from January 5th, 2023, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved. We are now on to old business, and my understanding is that agenda item has been deferred.
They've requested it to be deferred. Yeah, you still need a motion.
So
to
we're
defer.
going to need a, okay. Questions for Kevin on the deferral request? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to defer.
I have a motion to defer. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to defer. Any further discussion? All those in favor of deferring this, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion has been deferred. We are now on to new business. Our first item is Lindsay Sadler, Rocky Fork, Almaville Road, annexation and R1 zoning request.
Yeah, this is a request for annexation of a portion of a parcel of land. It is on Rocky Fork, Almaville Road. The roadway has already been annexed previously, so we would not be annexing any actual right-of-ways. The requested annexation is for about 3 acres of the parcel. The surrounding zoning is R3 and PRD in town, which are the Helmsley Place and Bankside PRDs. RM is the surrounding, adjoining zoning in Rutherford County. Land use plan would support medium-density, single-family residential in this area. Rocky Fork Almaville Road is a minor arterial on our thoroughfare plan, so the development of this parcel would require dedication of the adequate right-of-way. There would be a subdivision plat required. It appears this property has been divided by a quitclaim deed. As it's less than 5 acres, it is required to be done by plat, so they will have to come in with a subdivision plat after annexation occurs. That's why we are still just only annexing a part of the parcel because the remaining 5+ acres is not requested to be annexed. So that's all that I've got.
Does staff have any concerns with this annexation and zoning request?
We don't have any concerns, no.
Okay. Questions for Kevin?
Is there any other R1 out there, Kevin? Because all I'm seeing is R3 or county.
Get to it here.
The map we're showing here,
It's there's no R1 out there. It's R3. RM is the county zoning is very
Right.
similar to our R1 as far as lot size and that sort of thing. And everything else adjacent to it is to the west, is PRD, I'm sorry, to the east. Believe they just want to annex and they want to attach the sewer, and my understanding, they only want to build one house. But
They wouldn't need R3 zoning for that one house there, right? I mean, R1's a down zone from R3.
R1, yeah, R1 is fine as well, yeah.
Okay, other questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. We are now on to our next item under new business, a rezoning request. John McCleskey, Lee Victory Parkway, rezoning PCD to C2.
Yeah, this is a rezoning request for, again, a portion of a parcel, 12.02. It's about 1.05 acres is what's been requested to be rezoned from PCD to C2. Surrounding zoning is all C2. This is our 24 Gateway character area, which would promote kind of a mix of uses and services, hospitality, retail, restaurant, multifamily, et cetera. Major thoroughfare plan does designate Lee Victory Parkway as a principal arterial, which inadequate right-of-way, it does exist there for that. This existing approved PCD is for 6,992 square feet, 8-bay automotive repair facility. This change will be to revert the property back to its previous zoning, which was C2.
Is that the former Pep Boy site?
That is. So that, well, for whatever reason, they backed out of the deal, and so now the new potential owner wants to go back to the C2 zoning and make
Go back to what it was before.
back to what it was before.
Does staff have any objection to this?
No.
Okay. Questions for Kevin or staff? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the staff comments, or I'll second Amy's approval.
Okay.
So Amy's moving to approve with staff comments, and Mark has a second. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. We are now on to final plats. Our first item is Blakeney subdivision, Section 4, Hanworth Trace, owner, developer, Blakeney Partners, GP.
Yeah, this is plat for the next phase of Blakeney. This is it's 28 lots on 8.89 acres. We extend two streets, Earlham Court and Hanworth Trace. There's no roads would be affected by the major thoroughfare plan or on this, affected by this request. We do need to add one standard comment if they need to add some signatures of the owner and CUD and the surveyor. We had a few comments that were left, and they've all been addressed. Number 3, regarding adding some dimensions to some of the utility and drainage easements on lots 315, 16, and 17. They've done that. They've added another hydrant at the end of Hanworth Trace, which will provide coverage within 500 feet of all the lots. That's been done, so we can remove that one. Comment 5, we had one of the typical lot details had basically public utility and drainage easement for all the building setbacks, which was not necessary, and they've changed that and removed that. Number 6 is similar to that regarding, they've shown basically all the front yard being a utility and drainage easement, which again wasn't necessary. So they've corrected that, and that's no longer there. And we asked them to show and label the size of the sewer force main, and they have done that as well. So all of the comments are being addressed. Really only one that's left is number 2 regarding adding the signatures. So with that comment, staff would recommend approval.
And this is consistent with what we've previously seen,
It's
correct?
consistent with the PUD and the preliminary plat for this section, yes.
Okay. Questions for Kevin?
Kevin, I'm counting 26 lots. Is that, am I missing two somewhere?
No. You're right, there's 26, they had 28. I think maybe it's on, shows on the plat.
Okay.
The
So-
actual plat shows 26
Okay.
as well in the corner.
Yeah, I just counted them.
Yeah.
That was our mistake.
Just
and I
a,
So that-
apologize.
just a
on-
point of correction.
That's on us, right?
Yeah, that was our mistake.
All right, so it's
So
26.
It's 26 lots, not 28, so.
Got it. Okay. Other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. I'm sorry.
Need a motion first.
Would you like me to make a motion?
Yeah, let's make a motion. Hearing nothing further, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
I've got a motion. I'm anticipating here. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Now, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved. Okay, we are now on to Greystone, Phase 1C, Rocky Fork Road. Owner, developer, Greystone West LLC.
And this is the final plat. It's the next phase of Greystone. In the Greystone PRD, it's 70 lots, 19.27 acres. We had just a few minor comments, again, to add owner's signature prior to submittal for recording. Green Tree Drive, which is a part of this phase, is a collector and adequate right-of-way is shown. They had shown the CUD signature block on the plat, and we'd asked them to remove that because this area is served by the town of Smyrna for water, so they've removed that. Comments 4, 5, and 6, CUD does have some water service and a portion of Phase 1, so they have asked for they made a couple of comments consistently on all of this regarding some existing water lines. And so those are comments 5 and 6, so those are really their comments. We'd have to defer to them on those two comments. So, but with those two, as well as comment number 1, would be all that's left, and staff would recommend approval with those comments.
Okay, questions for Kevin? Kevin, just looking at this section and kind of looking at everything, it looks like that we have appropriate ingress and egress. We have several opportunities as far as streets that are already existing that will connect and/or future stubs. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved. It looks like our last item under final plats is Six Cedars Business Park and Seven Oaks Business Park, 889 Seven Oaks Boulevard. Owner, developer, Seven Oaks Investments LLC.
Yeah, this is a final plat. It's just only 2 lots. It's about 12.21 acres. There's a couple things going on here. One, these lots already exist as separate lots of record. They are moving a property line a little bit is one thing. The other issue is they are dedicating public utility easements for the lot to the west there, the Six Cedars portion of this part. And so, it's really just, really are moving the line and adding some utility easements. Seven Oaks Boulevard is a collector, and they do have right-of-way dedicated already, and that's on the existing park there. We had a few comments, add the signatures of the owners again prior to submittal for recording. We are reviewing the construction plans for those utilities. We'd ask them to, once this is taken care of, they'll have to add the ownership book and page number for the Six Cedars investments, and then to add this land surveyor's signature and stamp. So really comments 2 through 5 would all need to remain, but with those comments, staff would recommend approval.
Okay, questions for Kevin or any discussion? If we are good, then I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve after I'll second his.
Move to approve with staff comment.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments from Andrew, second from Mark. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion's approved. We are now on to site plans. Our first site plan of the evening is Cornerstone UMC, 349 Cheney Road. Owner, developer, Cornerstone United Methodist Church.
This is a site plan for an addition onto the Cornerstone United Methodist Church. It would be about 2,753 square feet in size. Would be added onto the front of the existing building. It would serve as a worship space. Access would remain the same. Basically, the only part of this plan they're doing is adding the addition to the site and then modifying the parking spaces just a bit to come into compliance with design review. So vehicle use area is going to be roughly the same at 0.42 of an acre. It does require 1,869 square feet of landscaping, and they are showing that to remain. Total parking, 37 spaces required and 44 are proposed, exceeding the requirement. 2 handicap spaces are proposed, and they are showing for 3. Landscape plan shows existing vegetation to remain as part of the proposed building addition. Additional trees are shown to be shrubs and trees around the proposed addition are shown as well, and there are trees lining Cheney Road as well. Architectural elevations show the proposed addition to have primary material brick with a secondary material of cementous siding. A couple standard comments, all remain as we had one staff comment regarding the elevations. As presented previously, when packets went out, they didn't meet design review. They now meet design review. The southern elevation had a bit more of cementous siding on it than was allowed. 75% is required at a minimum. They have now bumped it up to 79%, so they are meeting the design review requirements as far as that's concerned for those elevations. And with that, staff would recommend approval.
Okay, any questions for Mitchell?
I think that's the only question I had, and he said it's been corrected.
Correct. That was where I was at. Okay, anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments from Tim. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion's approved. Our next site plan is Smyrna Commons, Lot 10, Sergeant Osbury Hahn Way, owner, developer, Copperfield Commercial, LLC, Jack Patel.
This is a site plan for a development on Lot 10 in Smyrna Commons. This is on Sergeant Asbury Hahn Way and would be a commercial complex. This would consist of a mixture of retail and restaurant space, 8 of those spaces will be retail, and you have restaurants on either side of the building. So you have 2 suites that are dedicated for restaurants. One of the proposed restaurants would be constructed for a drive-through, and stacking for that drive-through would accommodate about 9 to 10 vehicles. And the way the site is designed, those vehicles would not stack onto Sergeant Asbury Hahn Way. Everything would be contained within that site and would be basically queued up behind the building. So everything looks good as far as that's concerned, from staff's concern standpoint. Vehicular use area for the site, just over an acre, and that would require 4,771 square feet of landscaping, and they're showing for 6,000 square feet. Total park required of 74, and they're showing for 83, and that would require 4 handicap parking spaces, and they're showing for 4 as well. The landscape plan shows shrubbery and trees planted along Sergeant Asbury Hahn Way. There are some utility lines that do run along Sergeant Asbury Hahn Way, so those would need to be avoided. Along the rear property line, a type C landscape buffer is shown due to the adjacent apartment complex behind the subject tract. Other trees and shrubbery are shown within landscape islands throughout the site and around the dumpster enclosure. Architectural elevations show the building to have a primary material of brick, stone, and glass and glazing, which would comprise most of the building. Secondary and accent materials would include Venetian plaster and aluminum. With that, staff comments 1 through 6 would all remain. We had a couple staff comments. Staff comment 1 was regarding the dumpsters. We did make note that any additional dumpsters to be added to the site would need to be housed inside an enclosure. The applicant did add a note stating such. I believe there were 2 dumpsters shown for all of those businesses, so we're just concerned if 2 weren't enough, an additional one may be needed, and that would have to be inside an enclosure. Comment 2 was regarding pavement markings for the handicapped parking spaces. That has been done and can be removed. Comment 3 was regarding the fire hydrant and backflow, and that has been addressed and can be removed. So comment 1 was more of an informational comment. Note has been added as such. 2 and 3 can be removed. And then with that, staff recommend approval.
Hey, Mitch, walk me through the, I guess the pathway as far as what restaurant are we looking at that would have the drive-through?
So the restaurant space on the east end of the building, that's closer to Sergeant Asbury Hahn Way.
Uh-huh.
There is a drive-through that's queuing up that would queue behind the building, and that's where that.
So we
Drive-through
would enter then and go around the building,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was right on that.
Who's got the Steve there?
Yeah. Well, with the double arrows, I was just like, okay, let me make sure I got this right.
Yeah, there's a double travel lane, but then you have kind of that inset to it. The additional lane, it would be the one-way that would be your drive-through.
Yeah, and I was just, I was kind of looking at where the actual drive-through, I guess, started. And I was just making sure that that was something that we would go around it into versus around and then a sharp right into it.
If they need extra dumpster enclosures, where would they go?
I believe there's,
Have
Because you
some
can't-
parking with me.
You'd almost have to lose some parking.
Yep.
But they do
somewhere.
have additional parking that they could
They
afford to lose.
they can lose some and still meet our ordinance.
Okay.
So they would almost have to lose some parking.
It looks like are the dumpster enclosures what's shown on the southwest side there?
correct.
Yeah. So,
They haven't got there, but they meet the same design, don't they?
Yes.
I mean, just looking at the number of units, it almost looks like it's a must as far as the extra dumpster
Well, that's what
enclosure.
we thought. With 2 restaurants, that's probably the 2. They'll probably use those 2. And
Yeah.
And you may have, depending on what the business mix is, not everybody uses a lot of, needs it a lot. And then and my restaurant's gonna be the most probably. So.
Okay.
Would this space, let's say the corner spot there where it's the 2159, those two big spaces, if somebody wanted to put a big restaurant in there, would this property accept another restaurant? Or could it be on just the two on the outside edges? Because it just says retail, but
Yeah, I mean, they're setting this up to be primarily just retail or some sort of service business, except for those two end units. So, if you get a lot more restaurant space, you probably wouldn't have enough parking, because restaurants do bring more.
they require more.
Require more.
If they use one of those spaces, they possibly could have enough parking for another restaurant, a third one. But if they use both
Potentially,
those,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Other questions?
Restaurant space would require grease traps.
Yes.
So if any of these other retail centers did not have grease traps,
They couldn't have.
they could not have a
They couldn't
restaurant.
have, yeah.
Okay.
They would have to go to the expense of adding one to
Right.
comply.
At minimum, yeah.
That's a lot of expense,
Okay. Yeah.
post-completion.
You have to dig up, and, yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
an issue, yeah.
Okay, other questions?
Is there a required distance for the dumpster from the restaurants?
No, there's nothing in our ordinances, no. They would be, where they're gonna be situated, the restaurants will be the two furthest
Right.
businesses away. But no, there's nothing that we have a requirement that they have to be within a certain distance, no.
I mean, I might be overthinking this, but on the south side of these retail centers where the cars are stacking, are delivery trucks gonna need to use that same access? Or would they be out in the outer lane, I guess?
It would probably be in the outer lane.
Is there room there if a truck is there? Looks like there is, it's
There,
24 feet.
it's as wide as a street,
Okay.
24 feet, so, yeah.
Yeah, if you got two restaurants, they're gonna have to park and deliver some type of delivery truck and or the retail. The retail closest where the stacking's at, they'd have to go in and out the front, because doesn't look like a rear exit out of that.
Yeah.
It may be, but you'd be out on the sidewalk, it'd be tough to deliver in there, so they'd have to park out front somewhere.
Other questions?
I know there won't be grease traps in some of these other retails, but do we have the authority to limit the amount of restaurants in a retail center?
I mean, we have in the past limited square footage on some buildings, similar types of buildings like this. I haven't done it a lot, but we have done that,
I'm just thinking ahead.
yeah.
Somebody wanted to dig up, put a grease trap in, and didn't mind the expense, and put a restaurant right there in that corner
Yeah.
or something, you know, is that something they could do, or can we limit that due to the number of parking spaces we've already allowed?
And why we've done that in the past was this with a condition on the site plan approval. You got,
5 years from now, somebody may
yeah.
change the business. And then how do we monitor that? Would it be by permit?
It would be at the building permit,
Okay.
yeah. Good.
So if there was a concern as far as number of restaurants exceeding the two, could that be included in the form of any potential motion?
Your square footage,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Like
It
2,600
really,
square
it
feet.
would be more about the square footage than the number of restaurants,
Okay.
actually. They've set aside 2,600 square feet right now. And
We
you've
can
got
put that limitation on it.
84 parking spots. another.
Restaurants typically draw a little more traffic than retail, especially in like peak times, you know, lunch and dinner and so forth. So that's when your parking lot gets full.
I mean, you could probably easily, with the parking they've got, you could add at least another 1,000 square feet of restaurant if you, which they've got some, probably really one of those 1,250 square foot spaces, they've got some of those. You could do that and be okay. I think you get much more than that, though, you wouldn't have enough parking per our ordinance. not enough
Especially if you needed another dumpster and you take up 2 or 3 more parking places.
parking. Then that becomes an issue. Yep. Quicker.
So you're saying that the way, as presented right now, you could do up to 3,600 square foot in total restaurant?
Yeah. With the amount of parking spaces they've got.
Yeah.
Unless they need to lose some parking for another dumpster.
Right.
Let's do that math, because it looks
Yeah.
like they might need that.
Yeah. And it might be the safest thing. They've got it set up for these two. Just limit it, you're approving it as retail. Everything is retail except those 2 end units.
Keep those as the limits for the restaurant.
And then,
26.
and then if
And
something
leave the
happens
parking
down the
alone.
road, we could take a look at it then. You know.
Yeah, I like that better, I think.
I think
Okay.
that'd be the easiest thing. I mean, that's what they're proposing anyway, so. Looks like the engineer
If
on the
that's what they're
project may
proposing,
want to
shouldn't be a
speak.
problem.
I tell you what, why don't we've had a little discussion around this. If you want to come up and give us your name and address, please.
Thank y'all. Chris McGuire with Huddleston Steel Engineering. Just a quick question. I had spoke with the owner today, and he was asking if we could get those to maybe 1,300 square feet or 1,350. I think he got a little bit concerned that the 1,250 would be too small. I'd be happy to go ahead and we'd probably drop 2 to 3 spaces to add a double dumpster in the top left corner. So that restaurant up in the top left corner would have something close to it, and restaurant on the southeast, unfortunately, there's gas lines and water lines up in the bottom right. So that limits our location of that one. But I'd be happy dropping 3 spaces, and I think that leaves us only to 5 extra spaces, maybe 4 extra spaces. So that would only give us about 1,200 square foot of play. Maybe, I guess I just want to provide a little bit of flexibility with these interior walls. I don't want to limit them to 1,250 if someone needed 13.
I think you got 13.
Yeah, you've got 13 on both restaurants
Okay.
right
On
now.
both restaurants already.
Are you asking for more than that?
I guess I'm just asking for the flexibility of what we could fit parking wise, because I think that it's only, if I add the double dumpster, I think it'll only provide a little bit more flexibility. But with these shell buildings, I mean, if they get a tenant who wants 1,350 and they can't do anything less, I'd hate to turn them away over 50 square feet.
So what does that put us at, 2,700?
Yeah, I think that we would be okay with that from, I think maybe no more than 2 restaurants at, 2,700 square feet. I think we would be okay from
good
a
with
parking.
You would just
I would
steal that-
appreciate
You would
that.
steal that from the neighboring wall?
Yeah, I mean, just, it would just shift one of the walls.
It's not going to change the footprint at all?
No, no,
Okay,
sir.
yeah.
No, it'll be all internal workings. I mean,
Yeah.
He's saying take-
when we get down to the actual
Right.
floor plans is when these walls will
Right.
get hard
Yeah, I
set.
understand, yeah.
And it would provide us that little bit of flexibility if there's someone who just needs that little bit more. And like I said, I'll add the double dumpster and that'll lower
For
the amount
flexibility
we put.
purposes, I understand what he's saying too. Would we have ample parking at 2,800 square feet with the double dumpster added
28,
instead of 27?
yeah. you'd
In
have-
case he needs that flexibility.
Yeah, I think.
So if he had 1,400 on each end,
I think we said we had 8 spaces left. If I took away 3 of them, 300 square feet, yeah. We would still have a few extra spaces.
you talk about taking the spaces up at the top left corner
Yes, sir.
Directly coming in, right?
Correct, yeah, that'll be the best for a
Right.
dump truck to actually pick it up. Try to get a good angle where they're not
Would
constantly
that work,
tearing up that
Kevin,
pavement.
space-wise, parking spaces-wise?
I think so. Yeah, he'd be okay still.
So 2,800 would give you enough flexibility, right?
I think so.
If you need a 14 in each
Yeah,
spot.
that'd be fine.
Yeah, and then that way, I think 1,400 square foot for the type of
In case you
restaurants that would
find
go
out
in
later
here.
that you need it, you'd have a little flexibility.
Yeah, and the type of restaurants that go in here, I think that that'd be enough to suit them.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank
I
you.
appreciate y'all.
Any further questions for Kevin or discussion? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve with staff comments, including limiting restaurant square footage to 2,800 square feet.
And adding the dumpsters.
And adding two dumpsters.
Adding the dumpster you mentioned.
Okay. Okay, I have a motion from Tim. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion's approved. Our next item is Medical Clinic, Lot 5, Old Nashville Highway. Owner, developer, Palm Development Partners.
This is Lot 5 within the Ryan Smith Commercial Subdivision. This would be for a 5,432 square foot medical facility. Lot 5 is located in the southwestern portion of this commercial subdivision, which abuts the Cedar Forest residential subdivision. Access to this site would utilize the access road off of Old Nashville Highway, which also provides access to the other businesses within this area. Square footage of vehicular use area, we have received revised plans, so these numbers are slightly modified from when packets went out last week. Slightly less with the vehicular use area square footage, we're down to 0.44 acre, which does require 1,936 square feet of landscaping, and they are shown for 5,234 square feet. Total parking required of 22 spaces, they're shown for 35. And handicap parking required of 2 spaces, and they are shown for 2 as well. There was a modification from the plans when they went out last week, which I'll go over in the staff comment section. There was a connection to the adjoining track to the north of this that was not made last week. That connection has now been made, so all these parcels will be contiguous with each other, and they can now be accessed to one another. Doing so results in a loss of a couple parking spaces, so that's why these numbers have been slightly modified. Landscaping, the landscape plan does show a 10-foot wide landscape buffer along the rear and side lot lines abutting the residentially zoned properties, which do consist of evergreens. The original approved PCD required a 10-foot landscape buffer, which is what is being shown. Additional trees are shown within landscape islands around the site, and shrubbery is shown at the base of the building and surrounding the dumpster enclosure. Architectural elevations show a primary material of brick and stone on all 4 building facades. The front elevation has 75.8% primary material, 16.9% secondary material consisting of horizontal siding, and 6.3% accent material of metal. The remaining 3 elevations consist primarily with the primary materials, and the total building has 84.7% primary materials, which do meet design review requirements. Standard comments 1 through 6 will all remain. A little bit of stuff going on here with the staff comments. Staff comments 1 was regarding the sewer main. There is a easement showing a sewer main extension from this lot to access lot 7, which is northwest of this tract, not developed at this time. So we asked them to show that sewer line extension. They have shown it now. In doing so, had additional comments to be added to this. The Utilities Department has asked that water sewer construction plans be submitted, being there is a main being extended. Additionally, we'd also like a conflict resolution for the sewer line extension to be submitted. This is from Public Works Department. The sewer line extension is now being shown crossing a storm drain as well as another water line. So this will just ensure that, basically once we got the details showing that all these lines are not gonna be, no conflict points are gonna be shown between where all these points of conflict are potentially, so, all that being said, we just wanna make sure that these lines are all being left clear and good to go. Comment 2 was regarding that driveway connection has now been added, and that comment can be removed. Comment 3 was regarding dumpster enclosure plan details. They have now shown those, and that they are showing brick veneer, which would match the building. That does meet desired view, so we're good with that comment being removed. We had one extra comment to be added as well, comment which is regarding the retaining wall. There's a retaining wall on the northern side of this property, and it does go across a utility line. Utilities cannot have those retaining walls going on top of their utility lines. And then it is also going through a Middle Tennessee Electric box, which cannot happen as well. So that retaining wall will have to be revised a bit to meet those requirements to get around all those utilities. So going back over that, comments 1, 2, and 3 have all been addressed, can be removed. In that, we have a couple additional comments for them to submit water sewer construction plans, and then a conflict resolution plan for the sewer extension, and then the retaining wall comment. So with that, staff would recommend approval. We do feel as though this is something that can be addressed if approved, and staff can work through this with the applicant to come to a conclusion on this. So we would
Okay.
recommend approval.
All right, any questions for Mitchell?
It's nice to get a building that you don't have to tweak the design review on. I mean, you know, it's just a pleasure, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very nice building, and when you look at the surrounding, the R3 that surrounds this is a very minimal impact on anything residential. It's a good plan. Further questions or discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
The motion and several seconds to approve with staff comments. Any further discussion? All in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved. Our next agenda item is Six Cedars Business Park, Buildings I and J, 7 Oaks Boulevard, owner developer Six Cedars Investment LLC.
This is the track that y'all saw previously tonight with that final plat, which would shift the property line over a little couple feet. This is adjacent to the 7 Oaks Business Park. There would be 2 new office warehouse buildings. Building I would be 12,000 square feet, and Building J would be 14,000 square feet. There are 2 future buildings proposed north of Building J that would complete this business park. Access to the site is proposed via a cross-access easement through the 7 Oaks Business Park development with a second access point off of 7 Oaks Boulevard. That does remain, and there's an access easement to get through that for this commercial property at this time, so no additional concerns regarding that are present. Square footage of vehicular use area is just under an acre at 0.9. Square footage of landscaping required is 3,949 square feet. The applicant is showing for 8,709 square feet. Parking required of 41 spaces, and they're showing for 84. Handicap space required 4, and they're showing for 4 as well. The landscape plan shows a landscape buffer along the northeastern property line abutting the condos, as well as an 8-foot privacy fence. Both the landscaping and privacy fence are a continuation of the existing buffer as part of the 7 Oaks Business Park development. Additional trees are shown in landscape islands and along the southwestern property line along I-24. All of the proposed landscaping is consistent with the 7 Oaks Business Park development, so it's going to look basically like a continuation of that existing business park. Architectural elevations show both buildings to have primary material of brick and glass glazing on the front and each of the sides of the buildings. The rear of the building is proposed to be entirely metal. Approximately half the suites would utilize roll-up doors, which are metal. The design of these 2 buildings are consistent with the 7 Oaks Business Park development buildings. Standard comments, 1 through 5 all remain. Staff comment 1 regarding the plat, which you reviewed earlier tonight. That plat will have to be recorded prior to issuance of any building permits. Comment 2 is regarding the fire flow. That has been addressed. The fire flow for this development is 1,750 gallons per minute at 20 PSI, which is okay for this area, so that is more of a standard comment at this time. Comment 3 is regarding the handicap parking spaces and getting access to the front of building I. That has been addressed and can be removed. So with that, we're left with staff comment 1 and then staff comment 2 being more so informational. Comment 3 has been addressed and staff would recommend approval.
Questions for Mitch? Any comments or discussion that we need to go over? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
Move to approve with staff comment.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved. Our next item is the Arc Pet Spa and Hotel, 14014 Old Nashville Highway. Owner, developer, the Arc Pet Spa and Hotel.
The Arc Pet Spa and Hotel is proposing a renovation to an existing commercial building. An addition on top of that would be 6,072 square feet, which would be at the back of this existing building. The property was previously used as a plant nursery. The rear of the site where trees and plants were stored as part of that business is the location for a new pavement for parking as well as the building addition. The site is located near the intersection of Old Nashville Highway and Rock Springs Road. Access to the site would utilize the existing 2 access points off of Old Nashville Highway. Vehicular use area for the site, 10,006 square feet, and that would require just over 1,000 square feet of landscaping. They are showing for 1,183 square feet, meeting the requirement. Total park required for this use is 20 spaces, and they're showing for 20 spaces. That does require 1 handicap space, and that 1 handicap space is being shown as actually existing today. The landscape plan shows landscaping in front of the existing building to remain. Additional trees are shown around the perimeter of the parking lot, and shrubs are shown at the base of the building as well. Architectural elevations show the existing building siding to remain with the addition of a base layer of brick. The building addition is proposed to be brick on the north, south, and west elevations, with the east elevation, which does face the rear of the property, and that would be entirely hardy board siding, not visible from any road frontage. And all of this, as proposed, does meet design review. Standard comments 1 through 6 would all remain. Nothing out of the ordinary with this, and we had no staff comments. And with that, we'd recommend approval.
Questions for Mitch?
You're all right with the back of that, Hardy?
Correct.
Hardy,
Yep.
it's not exposed to the...
Not gonna be visible from any of the roads. We're all good.
The driveway on this is already existing, am I correct? It's already there, right?
Both those points are.
You know, really, I guess hypothetically, it'd be nice if they all came in together and we could have less exits right there. They're all bunched together for traffic purposes. That's been there, so I don't think there's anything we do there. It's just been nice if we could have brought it into a complex somehow.
So again, the front of the building is going to look very similar to current, but with some additional brick. Is that what I understood?
Yeah, there's gonna be a base layer brick around the bottom of it. kind of tie it in more so with the building addition that they're showing.
And that's what, about a 20-foot setback from the rear of the building there?
From the rear of the site?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Then immediately behind that, is that vacant area? Is there anything there?
I think you're just, no, there's nothing back there.
That's what I thought.
Is it part of the parcel off Rock Springs where the power lines are?
There are 2 or 3 tracks that front Rock Springs. One of those was approved some time ago for a church, but I don't know if that's this track or not.
I believe that's a little bit to the north of this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all R3 right there.
I just don't remember anything immediately behind this either.
No.
Okay. Other questions? Do I have a motion?
Move to approve with staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved. Our last item under site plans is Volunteer State Bank Branch, corner of Huggin Lane and Jackdaw Drive, owner, developer, KKS General Partnership.
This is a site plan for a Volunteer State Bank branch that would be 3,860 square feet. This would be inside the Point Commercial subdivision. The development would be the first commercial property developed as part of the Point subdivision. Property has 3 road frontages, which are Sam Ridley Parkway West, Huggin Lane, and Jackdaw Drive. The site would have a singular access point via Jackdaw Drive, and it would also be positioned at the furthest extent away from the intersection of Huggin Lane and Jackdaw Drive. Vehicular use area for the site, ½ acre, and that would require 2,180 square feet of landscaping. Applicant is showing for 4,750. Park required of 28 spaces, and they're showing for 28. And that does require 1 handicap space, and they're showing for 1. The landscape plan shows street trees along all 3 road frontages. Shrubbery is shown lining the parking lot area as well as other trees and shrubs around the base of the building. Architectural elevations show the building to utilize all primary materials with brick, stone, and glass glazing. Additional ephes and accents of aluminum panel are to be used for varying contrast. As presented, the building meets design review requirements. Standard comments 1 through 6 all remain, and then staff comment 1 is regarding parking spaces. No more than 15 are allowed without a landscape island, and they have addressed that, so comment can be removed. And comment 2 is regarding the dumpster enclosure detail. They were showing a split-face block exterior on it, and we asked them to make it consistent with the primary material on the building, which is brick, and they have done that. So staff comments 1 and 2 both been addressed and can be removed, and staff would recommend approval as presented.
Any questions?
Another good looking building.
It's nice when they're stepping up on the front end.
Yeah. They're getting the message.
Yeah. There's nothing for Mitchell or staff. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved. We are on to the February bond review report. Kevin?
Yeah, we've got a few tonight. Buckingham Place, Section 1, Phase 2. This one is kind of the end of their maintenance period. They did say they would get, finish the work as soon as it's dry enough to get equipment onto the site. I would assume probably not gonna have it done by the expiration date with the rain we've had and whatnot. So we would probably need to extend this one, 6 months to let them finish up that work. Woodcrest, Section 3, kind of the same response there, same developer. Again, probably the same issue there. Probably have to, would recommend an extension there if we're not finished by the 18th, which again, I would not expect to happen. Rooker's Bend, Section 1, Phase 1. Did not hear back from that developer. They have actually been out there working, and they have got a lot of the work done on some of the utility deficiencies that were in this section. And so I think their plan was to top this when they put the binder down on the adjacent. They've been working on the second phase there, so would recommend a 6-month extension on that one. Let them finish it up this summer. Cedar Hill, Section 2, Phase 2. They did finish the final topping very recently. They still need to get the striping done. We would recommend reduction of that one to $10,000 and begin that 1-year maintenance period. Buckingham Hills, they still need to do the topping in there. They did respond and say it'll probably have to be this summer because they gotta get, got a ditch they gotta redo, and they gotta get dry enough again for that one. So we'd recommend a 6-month extension there. Woodmont, Section 6C, I did hear back, since the package went out, I did hear back from that developer. She told me they would be checking on, there's just a couple of minor things they gotta clean up there, but, she did not get back to me though, but that she would be checking on that one. If they get that done by the 27th, we could release that one otherwise, because this is the end of the maintenance period there. We would have to extend that one 6 months as well. That's all I got.
Okay, any questions for Kevin concerning the bond review report? If not, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the bond review report for February. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The bond review report is approved. We are now on to staff comments or any other business.
Just one quick thing. FEMA has been working on new revisions to flood maps for quite some time, and we finally have those. They are, new effective date is going to be May of this year. And so at your next meeting will be a zoning ordinance amendment. There are a few tweaks to the ordinance that they're requiring, nothing major. But as well as part of that, we do have to formally adopt the new maps, and so that would be, that amendment will be on your agenda for next month to go to council. So for March and April meeting, that way we adopt it ahead of that May deadline. So
Okay. Anything else?
that's all I got.
All right. Anything from the commission? We stand adjourned.